Hi, I'm Maria Elizabeth Molly, and this is Relationship Alchemy. Today we're talking about how to get someone to open up to you. And here's the tricky thing. When you come from the position that you have to get someone to open up to you, already you're fucked. So I've been watching a lot of relationship-oriented reality TV lately, kind of as research, and also because I find it fascinating, both because I'm interested in relationship dynamics and human stuff. And it's kind of part entertainment, part horror show. I know they edit for drama, but there was a particular conversation that spurred this podcast episode for me. And it went something like this. They were sitting on the couch. They'd been fighting, but they were really trying to start over and kind of, get things going in a better direction again. And the woman said, I really want you to open up and share more of yourself with me, like come out of your room and spend time with me and hang out with me. The words were fine, but the way she said it, her face was tight. She was clenching a pillow to her chest, like her body language was completely closed. And her face, her lips pursed, it was intense, like her affect was intense. And so he sort of warily looked at her and said, okay. And which triggered her further. And she went off a bit more, whatever, that conversation ended. They reconvened later in the evening and they're sitting at the table. And again, she brings it up like, I wish you would be more honest with me, share how you're feeling, etc. She had just cooked him this beautiful dinner. And he did, from my perspective as a relationship professional, he did open up and said what was on his heart, which was, when you approach me like this wasn't exactly his language, I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like, he did say, when you have an attitude like this, it's hard for me to open up. And instead of getting curious there, he also said, I'm thinking back, he also said, you have a bad attitude, which probably wasn't the best thing to say. So like if I were coaching him, I would say, get the judgment out of it, just name your experience. So I would have coached him to say, when you approach me, asking me to open up, but I feel anger coming off of you, it makes it really hard for me to do that. Instead, he said, you have a bad attitude. When you come at me with attitude, I can't open up. Like it's hard. It makes me shut down further. And what's her response? I don't have a bad attitude. Now, we've all done that. Myself included. Who hasn't done that? But that's not going to get him to open up. So I would have coached her in that situation to go, tell me more. Now, I get that emotions are running high. There's frustration. There's a lot going on. But if you've been asking another human to open up, and they just opened up and told you what they were feeling, respond to that, even if you don't like what they're feeling. Because in that moment, she invalidated his feeling. Like whatever little offer he made of transparency and truth and clarity for her into what was happening for him, she squashed. This is what we do in our relationships. We squash the very things that we're trying to have when we're triggered. So it's not to say that you have to fake nice, because that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm suggesting in moments like this is to create the conditions. Think about what you need to do to create the conditions for the actions you want to be able to happen. For example, maybe this metaphor would help clarify what I'm talking about. We've all seen mountains and rivers, right? Rivers tend to start at the top of a mountain when there's snow melt and they run down the river toward the ocean, right? In this moment, the woman wanting him to open up is like the mountain. The mountain is her desire for connection. It's her desire for openness. It's her desire for love. It's her desire to feel important, like she matters. And in this moment, in this example, the river is the flow of, in this case, the man, because I'm talking about a specific relationship I saw, but this could apply just as easily to queer relationships. So don't take my man-woman example as exclusion, because it's not. In this example, the river is the flow of his attention, the flow of his openness, the flow of his love. If the mountain is being mountainous in a certain way, like the hardness is what's leading, the hardness, the anger, the frustration, the disappointment, the fear that she'll never get what she wants. If all of that is out front of the communication, that river is not going to flow up the mountain. That's just not how rivers work. So what's needed in order to have the attention and the love and the openness you're desiring to flow toward you, you got to become the basin. You got to become the ground through which that river, to which that river can flow. You got to become the ocean to which that river can flow. Now, how do you do that? You do that by being receptive. You do that by opening your receptivity. You do it by handling your fear, disappointment, resentment, anger before the conversation. You vent it out. You pound a pillow. You go running. You do some exercise. You rub one out. Whatever you need to do to discharge that energy so that you can show up to the conversation receptive and open, because openness begets openness. So it's less about what you have to do to get someone to open up to you and more about how you need to be and who you need to be to allow that opening. Opening happens naturally in an environment of receptivity, of welcome, of curiosity, of safety. So the more you can do your work to be those things, the more you'll have what you want. I'm laughing because the construction just started up in my building. I was so hoping to get through this recording. So if you hear some drilling in the background, sorry, it's just what is right now. So I want to finish by really driving this point home. It's not about getting someone to open up to you. It's about who am I being and how can I be a person around whom it's safe to be open. So if you ask for a certain openness, if you say, hey, I would love it if you'd be more open with me about what you're feeling, and then that person you're asking that of actually does open up, even if you don't like what they say, receive it. You could even say, wow, that's hard for me to hear. That's still reception. Wow, thank you for telling me. You know, that's hard for me to hear, and I can feel myself contracting, but I'm grateful that you said it. I'm grateful that you opened up. Thank you. In that way, conversation can continue. The next thing you could say is, tell me more. And in that way, the person that you're wanting to have be more open with you has the space to do so. Don't squash the thing you desire just because it didn't come out the way you wanted it. That's life. And the more you allow people's expression to be what it is, to be right for them, while acknowledging how it lands with you, whether it lands easily or hard, but still inviting it, that is going to create incredible depth and openness in your relationships. This has been How to Get Someone to Open Up to You. I'm Marie Elizabeth Mali. My invitation is for you to take my relationship assessment. If this was a revelation for you and you want to learn more, I have an assessment that tells you in about 4 or 5 minutes, super quickly, how your relationships are going. I have one for single folks and one for partnered folks. They're both in the show notes down below, so choose the assessment that fits your situation. And I look forward to connecting further with you. If you're a woman, I also invite you to join my free Facebook group, which is Sexy, Wealthy, Loving, and Wise. So search for that group on Facebook. The link is also below if that's easier for you, which of course it is. And I invite you to join me in there because I do trainings and all sorts of fun stuff in there. So there's lots of ways to connect with me. Check out the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time, remember that a great relationship starts with you.